rewind and listen to the section again. At the conclusion of this video, we'll review some essential points. Before we talk about sundowners, let's review a little bit about Alzheimer's disease, the most common form of dementia. Symptoms include deficits in memory, language, reasoning and judgment, concentration, visual spatial orientation.
You realize that when you have the dementia, part of your brain is saying, I can't do this, but another part of your brain realizes it.
Experts are unsure of exactly why these behaviors occur, but there are some theories. The person with Alzheimer's disease may have increased difficulty in seeing as the light dim. This may cause increased confusion because familiar objects look differently in the dim light. Commonplace items and objects in the environment may look different to the resident. The resident may have a problem with their biological clock and have difficulty distinguishing daytime from nighttime. The resident may become tired at the end of the day and have more difficulty coping with stress. Many communities have several activities going on during the main part of the day. If, however, there are not sufficient activities in the evening hours as well, some residents become restless and agitated, unsure of what to do.
We have to remember that Alzheimer's or dementia is, they need to be busy, they need to keep busy. And we try to find different activities for them to occupy their mind.
Sometimes caregivers become fatigued toward the end of the day, and we're actually communicating that stress and fatigue to our residents that feel uncomfortable with the messages that we're sending to them. What we have to realize is that because of the brain dysfunction and the limitations due to Alzheimer's disease, most of the behaviors our residents exhibit are not purposeful. They can't always help why they behave in certain ways. The best way to manage is to plan and make sure that we provide opportunities for outlets with things for the resident to do that can reduce the stimuli that cause the sundowner syndrome. When caring for a resident with sundowner syndrome or any behavior concern, we always want to make sure we're employing our good fundamental basic dementia care techniques. Remember to always approach the resident in a calm, friendly manner.
So basically, we want people to be positive about their approach, to redirect constantly into behavior that is safe, and it will be kind.
Make sure to never rush the resident in their activities. Allow the resident, as much as is safe and feasible, to select and participate in the activities of their choice. Don't violate a resident's personal space. While some residents very much appreciate a friendly gesture, a hug, a pat on the hand, for some residents, that can actually be agitating. We must always know our residents as the individuals that they are. Know their preferences. Know what works for that resident. Those are just fundamental techniques we always want to employ when providing good resident care.
Get to know them and, just like helping them let them do like the day to do is, I do that one, some of my residents, have a hard time having somebody to help them.
When you have time, put toilet paper in your room. And if you have extra plastic bags,
The biggest challenge for the caregiver is in knowing what to do. Let's look at some fundamental basics And then in just a few minutes, we're going to get into some actual interventions for sundown. Now, one of the first things we want to make sure of is that our residents are active enough during the day. A resident that is in the recliner for several hours, dozing, napping, maybe lying down on their bed for most of the afternoon, is a resident that may become restless in the evening simply because they slept the day away. My residents have had ample activities and meaningful programs to participate throughout the day. At the time of 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's also good to make sure I know my residents so that I can make the judgment whether a resident needs to have an energy outlet, such as walking in the garden or doing something that they enjoy, such as dancing, or if they need perhaps to be quiet and listen to some music or some poetry. I think one of the things that is very important is that we make sure that each of our residents have opportunities to be involved so as to avoid sundown altogether. Sometimes you'll know that one resident begins to sundown, you'll have other residents quickly follow. The best method to manage this is to plan for this and plan appropriate activity that will hopefully reduce any noise and stimuli in the environment, reduce the possibility of sundown. We'll want to make sure we're monitoring our residents' diet. We want to make sure that the resident's not going to bed hungry or thirsty. Sometimes they may be in and out of bed and uncomfortable simply because they haven't had enough to eat prior to the evening hour.
And they do tend to get up maybe in the middle of the night, get a snack or have a snack. I don't see anything wrong with that, I guess, depending on what the snack is. But maybe a glass of milk and
Don't be afraid to seek medical advice. There may be a physiological cause for your resident to become very restless and agitated. It could be something like bladder irritation from a urinary tract infection. It could be pain they're experiencing when they're lying down. So again, although the interventions we discussed are good overall interventions for sundown, we want to make sure we rule out any problems our residents. You'll also want to rule out any environmental causes for what may appear to be sundown-like symptoms. For example, maybe your resident is having a problem with his roommate that's actually causing agitation, and yet it's manifesting itself like sundown syndrome. If we remember that residents can no longer sort out their cues from the environment due to confusion and disorientation, it's helpful to realize they may need a little extra hand during this time. Additionally, you'll want to make sure that the minimal comforts of the room are in place. How's the temperature of the room? Is the bed going to be comfortable for the evening? We also have to remember that keeping rooms free of clutter is helpful for a resident when they are disoriented and have increased agitation during sundown. Make sure the rooms are neat, all pathways are clear, and again, that the lights are on. Best thing a caregiver can do, they're noting increased agitation and possibly sundown behavior in one resident, any resident, is to seek the opportunity to do meaningful activities in the resident. Depending on the resident's needs and knowing the resident's needs first, it's always best to plan. Have ready a few simple plans. While there are many activities that can help manage sundown syndrome, a few simple things.
4 o'clock Saturday.
Music. Best would be music that the resident favors, or what has been noted as being successful is humming music such as Mozart. What we'll do is put music
You
on.
want to go to
Music
your
is a very, very good therapy.
You do it over there.
any type of
You
dementia.
can lie down.
Having them put some music on so they can dance. That's, I've seen that happen more than a few times where we put the music on and get them all out and start dancing and.
I thought maybe she would come because she said.
Although we're not offering a therapeutic massage,
You want to go to your room?
sometimes calm the resident.
No,
May
you
be
stay
having
here.
increased agitation during sundown. What a caregiver may do
And
is
so
sit
she said
himself
that.
next to a resident in a common area
She was,
while the resident is fully clothed.
she's always happy.
You
Permission.
can stay here and watch TV.
The resident's shoulders.
So she's always saying, Uncle.
Aromatherapy is also known as
Yeah, I
the
watch
soothing
TV
the resident
too.
to make have increased
She
agitation and noted to be affiliated
So
with
that's what I
Sunrise
say.
syndrome. You can purchase simple
When
oil
she
medicines
comes,
from your bath shops located in your nearby malls.
She'll take us.
Common scents include lavender and also
And
gentle
we
chocolate
don't
for
have,
some
I feel like
people.
I'm
Repetitive activities,
I'm watching
sharing
TV.
a favorite food or beverage,
You're gonna what?
warm milk can also be soothing for a
Very
resident.
nice.
I'm watching TV.
Oh,
Reminiscence, I mean, looking back,
It's good to
allowing
watch
the residents
TV.
to talk about their past experiences. When a resident and caregiver engage in reminiscent conversation, one wants to focus on pleasant and comforting talks. Some pleasant conversations during the evening hours may include what residents may have done to prepare dinner for their family, what kinds of things they'd like to do before when tucking their children into bed, what was their bedroom like as a child, what kind of nighttime prayers they may have said before bedtime, petting a pet.
I don't want to bother lady.
At your local store, you'll be
It's
able to
okay.
find songs of nature, babbling brooks, mountain fresh air breezes,
we did.
and bird
Anyway,
songs.
I didn't leave today.
Singing
Tomorrow I must leave. I must leave.
gently brushing hair. A calming movie,
I
or
Take
reading
it
a
easy.
favorite story. Some of our residents respond real favorably to children's stories and poems, which are very soothing.
I'm watching TV.
For agitation, it's not so much as a busy activity, it's more of taking them aside and taking them away from the area.
You.
What
I knew it.
really works with
You would.
activities is walking them out
She's
here.
working.
And here we have different water fountains and different.
Oh, look at the garden. It looks
very
pretty.
It's like at home.
Pretty garden.
In front of the book right here, close our eyes, close our eyes, and listen to the water running. And that
I know
is
it.
really, really nice
You know
to
where?
calm down.
I will read
Um,
it tomorrow.
As far as other activities, I think the best thing is really to take them away from the situation, away from people, and away from the rest of the residents, because that adds to the agitation. So, if it's just even going into a room with music, with pretty music, going outside and going for a walk, and talking very slowly.
In general, we try to isolate them at the moment that an incident is occurring. And calmly talk, be quiet. If there isn't good interaction,